Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome to my channel, Savage Reads, and this is a special celebration video. My channel just reached 1,000 subscribers, and I am so grateful for all of the support that I have received from the subscribers and the booktube community. I am just so grateful for this milestone, and I thought that I would do a little question and answer video and talk a little bit about my channel, about why I started it and how I got to this point. Now, if you hear a little something, I have the AC unit on. It is just too hot to turn it off today, and so I'm sorry about the background noise. So I started my channel more than 3 years ago, mostly because I read a lot of books and I was starting to forget a lot of the books, and I figured this was a good way to keep myself accountable for the books that I've read, do a little book report, remember what I thought of each book. And so that is why I started the channel, and I hadn't really been watching a lot of booktube before. I've always enjoyed different YouTube videos, and so I got the YouTube format, but I hadn't really been involved in the booktube communities. So soon after joining booktube, I started to find booktubers that I was really interested in watching and got involved in this really wonderful community. Could I be better at being involved? Yes. And do I want to? Yes. But I have loved the sense of community that has come along with this, and I have had a lot of fun. I have put out 148 videos now. This one is the 149th video, and I have had a great time. It's been around a video a week, and I love to be able to talk about books with a wider audience. So the other day when I got 1,000 subscribers, I woke up to the best surprise. My amazing husband had made a video for me to celebrate 1,000 subscribers. He put together all the thumbnails from all my videos into one thing, so I'll show that here. And that was so sweet of him. And he went through and contacted a bunch of my very favorite booktubers and had them send in personal messages and book recommendations for me, and I was so touched. It was the nicest thing that anyone's done for me. I was so delighted by that. And so I do have some book recommendations from a few channels, and I will be doing a dedicated video to just those books in a couple months when I get all of those books read. My husband did say I was not allowed to post that video on here because he told everyone that it was just for me and to not put any production value into it. So I just want to throw out a special thank you to Margaret Pinard, Caitlin at Bandy's Books, Audrey Approved, Melinda at A Web of Stories, and Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl. I was so excited to see your faces. I was in shock when that video started playing. And so that was very exciting, a fun thing to add to my week. And on my last video, I asked for any questions that you would want me to address in a 1,000 subscriber celebration video. And so I am going to go through those questions now. The first questions were from Caitlin at Bandy's Books, and she asked, what plans do you have for your channel moving forward? Now, I think my plans are to do more of the same, in that I want to keep up with my weekly book wrap-ups, but at the same time, my youngest daughter is starting school in the fall, and that might kind of change my life a bit. I'm not sure how much more time I'm going to have. I have some other things that are filling in the extra time, but I may have a little extra time to try some different kinds of videos and to try some different things. So if you have ideas of what I should look at, let me know in the comments down below, because I am kind of in a spot right now where I can look at more ideas and maybe try to be a bit more creative with my channel. Caitlin also asked, how do you decide what books to read? Now, I am so boring. So I literally have a list on my computer and I put them on hold at the library, and as soon as they become available, I just read what's next on the list. And the last question that Caitlin asked was, what is the most meaningful book you've ever read? And I don't know how I'm supposed to answer this. So many books have different meanings at different times. And for why I was reading, I mean, Lord of the Rings got me through my interior design class in college. That was super meaningful. I really love the book A Place for Us. I have it right back here. I think that that book is so wonderful and has some really deep meaning. And there's just certain books that catch me at a certain time, but I don't know if I necessarily have one that has the greatest meaning out of all of them. So Erin at Erin Read a Book asked, do you have a massive TBR list with notes on where you heard about the book? Yes, I actually keep track of the books that are on my list on one of those stickies. If you have a Mac, like I use the Stickies application and I have it right on the main screen of my computer, and I just write the name of the book, and right next to it I put where I heard about it first. The second question that Erin asked was, what is your favorite European city that you have visited? Now, I'm very biased because I think my favorite city is Barcelona. I love Barcelona. I have this horrible thing where when I go visit other cities, I think it's nice, but is it as nice as Barcelona? I love Barcelona. But if I exclude Barcelona, one of my very favorites was actually Budapest. I thought that it was really beautiful. The food was fun. I had a really fun time a few years ago visiting Budapest. And Erin also asked, what is your favorite Spanish food or meal? And this one is hard because it really depends on the season, but I was just thinking this week how much I love in the early spring here in Catalonia, we do calçotadas, and I love calçots. So calçots are kind of like a green onion, but you cook them on a barbecue till they're completely charred on the outside, and then you peel off the burned edges until it's just the inside, and then you dip it in romesco sauce, and then you just eat the whole thing. They are so good. They're not a strong onion. It's more green bean-like almost, but it's got that like slight oniony flavor. So there are a lot of foods that I like a lot, but this week I've been thinking about calçots. So the next question comes from Ray at the channel Giant Cup of Coffee, and she asked, would you share some of your other hobbies as much as you're comfortable with it? So I love to pick up hobbies. So I'll throw in a couple. I play the piano every day for about half an hour. I do a little bit of yoga every day. I am really into knitting. I just finished my shirt. It's a shirt. I'm not gonna wear it right now because it is knit, and even though it's cotton yarn, it still feels way too warm to put it on right now. But I feel like it might look cute in the fall. And so I finished knitting this, so I enjoy knitting. I also love baking, especially cookies. I will make cookies every day if I have the chance. I have gotten a little bit into furniture refinishing and like house renovation since moving into the new house. And so I've done a few projects trying to make tables look nicer. I have done a little bit of embroidery in the past. One of my favorites is this metro map of Barcelona that I embroidered. But I have this big project for above the fireplace, and I'm trying to do like a big embroidered almost tapestry kind of thing, and so that is my next big project that I am going to be working on. I also take language classes. I'm working on my Catalan, so there are some fun things that I do in my spare time. I love a fun creative pursuit when I can. The next question comes from a subscriber, Eva Marina, and she asked, as for questions, I'm curious, I'm assuming you've been a lifelong reader. Is there a book that stuck with you as a transition point in your life as a reader? For example, I had to read La Casa de los Espíritus for school and then went on a big Isabel Allende kick for a few years, but it wasn't until I read her book Paula that I felt like I transitioned into an adult reader. I've been reading adult books since I was a child, but reading that one just hit me differently. And I can't pinpoint an exact book, but I kind of want to say around the time I read The Night Circus. About that time, I read that book, and I read Killers of the Flower Moon, and I read Ballad of the Whiskey Robber. This was 7 months after giving birth. I had gotten out of college, and I had read all through school, but during college, I probably read 1 or 2 books for fun per semester. And through pregnancy, I was not in the habit of reading. And it really just hit me that I want to be the kind of person who is learning and curious and figuring things out. And I decided that I needed to switch out binge watching Netflix series or whatever I was wasting my time on for doing something that made me happy and helped me learn. And I feel like I really transitioned into being an adult reader when I started reading with a goal and for fun. And that was in 2017. That was when things kind of switched from being a reader for escapism from my day-to-day life and school and everything to I want to read to learn and to understand and to expand my mindset. And so I think that that was probably the big shift for me reading-wise. Another question was from Laszlo in the House, and it said, for your milestone vid, your favorite Goosebumps book. And I'm really sorry, I do not think I've ever read a Goosebumps book. As a kid, I was terrified of anything remotely scary. I remember in 5th grade reading And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie and not being able to sleep for months. So Goosebumps weren't my thing as a kid, and I haven't picked them up since. This next question comes from the channel Tania Atlas in a Jar, and the question is, are there any genres or authors you typically avoid, and if so, why? I think mostly I avoid romantasy. And it's not a hard and fast rule, but I went through a Twilight phase when I was 14 and 15 and still just kind of cringe a little bit looking back on it. This is not to say in any way that if you enjoy romantasy, it's cringy. It's that I cringe at my 14 and 15-year-old self, and so it makes it hard for me to get back into that genre. And so my knee-jerk reaction when I see romantasy books is to just say, keep that away from me. I'm done. I can't handle it. And so I can be persuaded otherwise. There can be really great romance fantasy books, but I tend to avoid them. She also asked, and which characters from a book do you relate to most, and what about them resonates with you? Now, this one is hard. I feel like I try to put myself in the shoes of whatever character I'm reading about, good or bad. It's one that does stick out to me, and I don't know how I feel about the book as a whole, but the book Where'd You Go, Bernadette, I read quite a few years ago, and I had just come out of a very difficult time with my mental health, and to read that book, I was so stressed and so connected to Bernadette because I felt like she was me, and I felt like that was my issues being played out. And I don't think there were very many direct similarities or anything, but for some reason reading that book at that time in my life, I just could feel my heart squeezing through the whole thing, and I had to get to the end to make sure she was okay, but it just, I don't know if that book was good or not. I have no idea. I had just too much anxiety about Bernadette because I did connect with that character maybe a little too much in that moment in my life. I hope you enjoyed this little question and answer, and really, I'm just so grateful for all of you for supporting my channel, and I'm excited to keep going and see what is next for the channel. So if you have ideas of what I should do next, let me know in the comments down below, and I will be back soon with another one of my book wrap-ups.